The situation between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. promises to remain fraught, especially as Iran and Israel continue to bomb one another while diplomatic efforts play out. To dig in a bit more into this, we're joined by James Acton, who's co-director of the Nuclear Policy Program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Mr. Acton, so good to have you tonight. We've heard many times over the years from Israeli and American politicians that Iran is close to having a nuclear weapon, always close. How would we know that? And is it true that they are as close now as the president says?
Well, Iran has been building up a stockpile of highly enriched uranium, and that's at 60%, which is a pretty short leap away, a pretty short step away from the level of enrichment that you would need to build a nuclear weapon. However, there's a lot more uncertainty about whether Iran is capable of doing yet the science and technology to convert that material into an actual usable nuclear weapon. And what the president has said about Iran being 2 weeks away is actually quite different from what the intelligence community has said. It said that Iran ceased its efforts to develop a nuclear weapon in 2003, and it's been reported that the intelligence community actually thinks Iran is a lot more than 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon.
Explain the basic design of Iran's nuclear sites. Which parts are protected below ground, which are above?
Well, the whole ballgame at this point is a facility called Fordo, which is an enrichment plant. That's to say, it converts, increases the enrichment level of uranium to the point at which it could be used potentially in a nuclear weapon. That facility is built into a mountain. This is the one that Israel likely can't destroy with its own capabilities, and it wants the US to destroy. There are a number of other facilities that are part of the uranium program. Israel has destroyed, I think, a number of those that are above ground. But there's also a lot of uncertainty about things like the components for the centrifuges, the highly enriched uranium that Iran has. We actually don't know where they are anymore. The highly enriched uranium was under IAEA safeguards. We don't know whether Iran has moved it.
What exactly must be hit in order to hamper Iran's ability to enrich uranium and produce a nuclear warhead?
Well, I mean, Fordo is generally regarded as the key facility. That's the enrichment facility. But I think it's important to emphasize that destroying Iranian facilities won't permanently stop Iran from trying to acquire nuclear weapons. This is why I'm very skeptical about the merits of military action. I think if the US gets involved and destroys Fordo, maybe that increases the time that Iran would need to build a nuclear weapon by months or a year or two, but Iran could rebuild. And so then the question becomes, are we prepared to attack again and again and again? Or do we think that at this moment of weakness that Iran has, a diplomatic solution actually presents us with the most leverage? That's what I believe.
Do we know yet to what degree Israel has been successful in reducing what they've been able to create?
Well, Israel's destroyed a lot of the facilities on the surface and close to the surface. Israel's destroyed an enrichment plant at Natanz. It's destroyed different nuclear facilities at Isfahan. It's killed scientists. There's no question it's done substantial damage to the Iranian nuclear program. But A, Israel can't destroy the enrichment plant at Fordo by itself. That's too deep. And B, we simply don't know whether Israel's been able to target things like centrifuge components, the highly enriched uranium itself that Iran has accumulated. Those materials and devices are small, they're easily movable. We actually just have no idea whether Israel has successfully destroyed them, and if so, how much of them.
And if the United States were to get involved and decided they were going to use that bomb to destroy Fordo, is it lights out, or are there other locations where these sites may be located in Iran?
Well, look, the first thing to say is we don't know what we don't know. One of the arguments against diplomacy has always been that Iran may have secret facilities, and that's true. But secret facilities are actually a bigger problem where military action is concerned. You can't bomb what you don't know. So there's a possibility that Iran has secret facilities. But even if it doesn't, it has the knowledge of how to enrich. It has the knowledge of how to build enrichment facilities. It may very well have components for centrifuges. It may very well have highly enriched uranium left. In short, even if the United States destroys Fordo, Iran almost certainly will be able to rebuild the program, and relatively quickly. You know, depending on how much is destroyed, we're looking at something like a number of months, perhaps a small number of years.
We've been seeing these images of the hospital that was attacked in Israel, and a number of people, as President Trump here has said that he wants to build the Golden Dome in the United States. There in Israel, of course, they have the Iron Dome. Why are we seeing that's being penetrated in a number of cases in recent days?
The short answer there is because missile defense is really difficult. It's hitting a bullet with a bullet. I mean, almost literally. I just think that's a very good analogy to what's going on here. Now, Iron Dome is a system that's specifically designed to intercept very short-range missiles, such as those that Hezbollah has fired from Lebanon against Israel. That's a really effective system. It's very, very impressive. Actually, the systems that Israel is using to defend against Iran are systems like Arrow 2, Arrow 3, the US supplied THAAD. That's just a more difficult task because the missiles that Iran is firing come in a lot faster than the rockets that Hezbollah has fired. And, you know, we should never expect 100% effectiveness. That's just not reasonable to expect. So it's not entirely surprising to me that Israel can't defend against everything.
James Acton, co-director of the Nuclear Policy Program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. We thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.